Hello, everyone. Thanks. Those stairs were quite something. Thanks.
Nick, how is it being at For the Love of Sci-Fi? I know you're a massive sci-fi fan anyway, so just seeing, like, we've got the massive X-Wing there, we've got the TARDIS, we've got...
that's the thing about coming to things like this is there's a fucking massive X-Wing fighter there, which is amazing. There's Bumblebee, I can see... a stormtrooper is fantastic.
You don't see it every day, do you, Nick?
I mean, more often than other people.
Than me.
I see it probably every other day.
I mean, your story of how you got to where you are today is absolutely fantastic. You know, you never had plans to be an actor. You were a waiter with Simon Pegg's girlfriend at that time.
Yeah.
And she was responsible for one of the best duos in cinematic history.
Yeah.
So
It was
what was
weird.
that experience like, meeting Simon?
It was weird because this Scottish waitress turned up and I kind of fancied her slightly, and then she said, "Oh, I've got a boyfriend." I was like, "Oh, well, fuck you." and then she introduced me to her boyfriend, and then I was like, "Oh, well, fuck her." And Simon was the real.
He was the real prize.
He was the real prize, you know. And we met at a party, and then essentially, obviously now we're married to separate women, we have children, and we live in different parts of the world. But we've been as close for 30 years, you know.
It's amazing. And was it true one of the first things that you bonded over when you first met was that Simon was making Chewbacca noises to you?
No. What he was doing, and I can hear a kind of similar noise now, is there used to be an Indian restaurant called the Pink Rupee, and all the waiters used to go and have curry after our shift. And one night, me and him were sat opposite each other, and I said to him, "Oh, will you pass me the salt, please?" And as he passed it across the table, I'll do the noise. He made this noise. Beep, 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 beep. And I just knew exactly what he was doing, you know, and I knew exactly that little droid, you know, the one that Chewbacca shouts at. Yeah. I was just deeply in love at that point.
And obviously your first foray into acting with Simon was Spaced, and that was a character that you had created on your own and was just doing it on nights out to make your friends laugh. And he was like, this needs to be seen by the masses, this needs to be seen on television. So what was that like?
Yeah, Mike was just like a collaboration of a few people I knew at work, and I would just do it to make Simon laugh. And if we were down the pub, Mike would make up these... You know, he had like 1,000 ways to kill a man. and so he was like, we're going to have that and we're going to put it in the show, you know, which was weird because I never wanted to act. I never felt like that was just the worst thing that anyone could have foisted upon me, really.
It's crazy.
But then there was no plan B. I didn't I had no plan. I was like, I kicked around. I left school at 15. I did a few shit jobs. I went and lived in the north of Israel, Palestine for 2 years. Kicked around and did a lot of shit jobs. Came back, was a waiter. I never once thought, what am I going to do? Quick, I've got to find something. You know, I was never... now as a 51-year-old man, I recognise that as. I think if I've got 3 kids, but if at 27, one of them was just fucking around doing nothing, I'd be like, "What are you doing?" You know. But it just worked out, you know.
I mean, there's been several full circle moments in your life, and one of them, which is crazy, is the first film that you and Simon went to watch together was Pulp Fiction, was it? 1994?
Yeah.
That Christmas you exchanged Pulp Fiction themed Christmas gifts to each other.
Yeah, we did.
And then you have Tarantino doing the commentary on Hot Fuzz and Space, and he said that you are the funniest man on earth. He said that.
He did say that, yeah. He's also got Quentin, I call him Quentin. he's got his own cinema in his house, and he's got a picture of me on the wall, which is kind of amazing.
I mean, what would Nick in 1994, what would he think when you fast forward to around 2008? He's done these guest commentaries, you've had interactions with him, he's called you the funniest man on earth.
Right.
What's Nick's reaction in 1994?
My reaction probably would be, why do I have to pay so much tax? Yeah, it would be that.
But you've had another full circle moment as well, because you did the film, well, to be fair, Paul came out around the same time as Tintin. It was the same calendar year, 2011.
Yes.
And Paul was sort of an homage to the Steven Spielberg films of E.T. and Close Encounters.
Yeah.
And then you're on set with bloody Steven Spielberg, and he knows you personally.
And we also got, I mean, when in the film, when Paul phones Steven Spielberg, that's Steven Spielberg he's talking to. So it was kind of amazing. Greg Mottola, who directed Paul, was like saying to us, how am I going to direct Steven Spielberg? What do I say to him, you know? But it was cool. He came in, he did it 2 or 3 times, and that was that.
That is crazy. And then, so we touched on how you met Simon Pegg. How actually did you meet Edgar Wright prior to when Spaced was filmed?
It's a funny one, because there was a time, obviously Simon was a stand-up comic at the time, before he started doing TV. And like, we lived in a house full of stand-up comics, some of which were doing pilots, and some of which were in sitcoms, and we were hanging out with like David Williams and Matt Lucas and the Reece Shearsmith and the League of Gentlemen lot, and we were just kind of a gang who would hang out and drink and go to parties, and Edgar was just one of those people.
And did you, when you got to know him more and more, and you discuss films and acting,
I liked him less and less.
Because his directing style suggests that he's a very full-on and the man full of ideas, like the quick camera cuts, the way it goes between beers being filled up, all that sort of stuff. He's a high-energy guy, high-energy filmmaker. Could you spot that brilliance straight away within him?
It's difficult when you're working with him, because it's different as an actor. I'm not looking. Obviously, sometimes you think, "Oh, that was a great shot. That was really cool," and you look on the monitors and it's amazing. But a lot of the time, you're thinking, "Are we going to wrap on time? Are we going to wrap at 7 tonight? Do I get to go home at 7 o'clock tonight?" You know, it's not like I'm not like, "What?" You know, half the time it's like I'm focused on my acting, and technically, you know, I need to touch this mark, and I need to look here, and here's my light, and you know, a lot of it's that, you know. And I think it's only once you see Edgar's directing, and then Simon and Edgar's writing, and Simon and I's chemistry, and what the DOP does, and how it's edited, that it all comes together to make a Hot Fuzz, or to make a, you know, films. The films Edgar makes that I'm not in, that I don't care about.
The Cornetto trilogy, obviously everyone here knows, some of the best comedy films ever made. Now, when you go and look at Shaun of the Dead, you know, you're transitioning from being in television in Spaced to a feature film, and that was a monster hit, absolutely monster hit at the time, and still is one of the most beloved films. What's it like going from Spaced to working with Bill Nighy and seeing your face all across cinema screens? Across the world, really.
I think I've never. Okay, this is kind of a double-edged coin, really. I've never really taken it too seriously in terms of. First of all, I've always felt very lucky and grateful to be working, and secondly, it's also. I wouldn't want to cling on to something which could be taken away so quickly. Do you know what I mean? So what I tend to do is just
downplay things a little bit.
Yeah, I think myself lucky, and I get on with it, and I think, let's just keep going. Let's keep going, because it's also, I'm still a fan. You know, I still get slightly aroused by an X-wing. So when I'm on when I'm on set and we've written Paul, and then I'm stood and I'm looking at Sigourney Weaver, it's like, it's fucking Ripley, you know. It's like, so I still enjoy it. I'm still into that, you know. But I'm also aware that it's I don't know. I always think about acting. Think about someone that you watched and really loved on TV 20 years ago, for instance, and now think about them now. Are they still on TV? Do they still make films? Do they still make TV? And are they still present all the time? And the chances are that the answer is no. So, you know, my point is, I'm tremendously lucky that I still have a kind of career, you know. And I can't take that for granted in terms of, I have 3 children to feed. So I just get up every day and I just grind and I try and make it work every day and feel utterly grateful and thrilled that I get a chance to come and sit here and see Bumblebee. You know, it's not, I mean, I can actually see a real Bumblebee. So if anyone's got anaphylaxis, I'd probably move away.
What was your reaction to reading the script for Hot Fuzz? Because it's still the only buddy cop film that Gloucestershire's ever seen. And
yeah, right.
It was absolutely incredible to see a British film like that at the time, to be shot on the budget that it had, to have Timothy Dalton, Bill Nighy again, Martin Freeman before he joined The World's End. The cast was absolutely nuts, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I just think people appreciated the fact we were a group of mates who loved cinema and loved what we wanted to do. And I think as a performer, that can be quite attractive in terms of, let's be a part of that gang. And it's not like it's just me and Edgar and Simon and we just get on with it. It's like everyone is invited, everyone has a say. Nothing's improvised on set, we rehearse quite a lot. So if there's anything funny in rehearsal, then it goes in the script. So that's not just me and Simon, that's for all the actors, you know. So if someone says something funny and it's like, oh my God, let's absolutely put that in. So it's a nice, you know, we try to be a nice unit to be around, and to hopefully it's a nice place for people to come and feel like creatively they have a voice, you know.
And everyone wants to see you collaborate with Edgar and Simon again. Do you think we'll see it at some point? Are you down for that?
Yeah, I think we're gonna do an OnlyFans porn channel.
I don't think that's what we had in mind, Nick.
It's what you're getting.
Bloody hell.
No, I think, yeah, of course we will. It's, you know, we speak, we text, we WhatsApp, we have a little group, we speak every day. So it's a question of, there's also a great deal of time to make a film, you know. It's a year and a half to write, it's a year to shoot, it's a year to edit. It's like, it's a lot of time. So, but I think, I mean, I really like the fact that as actors and as humans, as we have gotten older as men, and as our relationships have evolved, our characters have gotten older and their relationships have evolved too. So there's no rush in terms of, I'd like to see us as 60-year-old men, or 70-year-old men, you know. Maybe if we make a film a decade, I'm going to say 80, but I'm probably not going to get that far, so.
I know this is a hard question to answer. You know, what would you say was your personal favourite experience throughout that trilogy of films? And then was there a moment throughout any of the films in that trilogy where you and Simon couldn't hold it together because the scene was just too funny to film?
In terms of making the films, I love doing them all, really. Shaun of the Dead was really frightening because it was going from doing TV to a movie on using film was such a big jump. Technically, you know, you're now not in a small set in space. You're on a massive film set, and there are 300 people, and there are 3 cameras, and there's a lot of pressure. But obviously, Ed's a fucking idiot, so he's amazing to play. So he was easy to play. Hot Fuzz was fantastic because we all, the cast and the crew, all went and lived in Somerset for the summer. So that felt amazing. That felt like we were all just hanging out and making a movie, you know. But I think in terms of, you know, for an actor, you want to be working with amazing actors. You want great dialogue. You want a great backstory, and you want big chunks of meaty, powerful dialogue, you know. And so for me personally, being Andy Knightley it felt more grown up for me as a role, you know, and a chance. You know, it's not lost on me as a person, as an actor. So when I'm acting, there's 2 bits. There's maybe 3 bits. There's a bit in my brain that's essentially going through a Rolodex, and then it lifts out a card and it says, okay, so you have to say this line next. And then so I say that line. And then there's the other bit that's in me that's not Danny Butterman or Andy Knightley or Clive Gollings or whoever else I've played. It's me, it's Nick Frost. And I'm watching the other actors act. And it's a treat, you know, to be in a scene and to watch Paddy Considine act, or to watch Olivia Colman act, or see fucking Simon. You know, it's such a treat to be able to sit and to do that too. And sometimes you find yourself having to flick back to the Rolodex me to say, what are you doing? Oh shit, right, there we go. I don't know, pub. You know what I mean? So it's a joy, you know, is what I'm trying to say.
What was it like balancing performing in Paul, but also, you know, you wrote the screenplay with Simon as well, which must have been like a huge career milestone for you at that time?
No, I mean, I've always wanted to write. And I mean, fortunately with Sean and Hot Fuzz, you know, Edgar and Simon were always very keen on my input in terms of, so here's our first draft. What do you think? You know, if I thought I could make it a bit funnier, then I'd try. If I didn't think it worked technically, then I'd say, well, what if this happened here and this happened here? And then obviously some of that gets in and some of it doesn't get in. So that's just what being a writer is about and is like, really.
Amazing. Well, it's been a pleasure to speak to you, Nick.
Thanks.
I'm now going to open it up to the fans. You guys can ask whatever you want. So if you just raise your hand and we'll get a microphone to you.
Anything in the pipeline that you could tell us about?
I've literally just made back-to-back 7 films. And then today was meant to be my last day of like work for the year. And then I got on Wednesday, I got a phone call with like another massive film, like which I can't tell you about, but the year's now not over. But I've done loads of things. I wrote a film, a horror film about a lovely English family who go and spend the summer on a Swedish island called Svalsa, which I just finished shooting. We shot that in Finland over the summer. And that's probably the fact that I produced that and wrote that and I'm in that. So, and then there's a bunch of, I shot a film called Crazy House in Amsterdam in January and February, and it was without doubt just, I know there are children here, but it's just the weirdest fucking thing I've ever shot. And I think it's going to be one of the best things I've shot too. So, but there's just loads of stuff. I'm always quite keen too to not So I'm going to stand up. I like standing at this bit. I'm always quite keen to not... I think people can get bored if you're on telly or on the cinema all the time. So I tend to maybe take 2 years off and write stuff or not be on telly and then spend a couple of years being on telly, you know. Thanks.
Hi.
Hello.
So one of my favourite things that hasn't been mentioned that you've been in is Into the Badlands.
Yes.
So I wanted to know a bit about your experience filming that and how much of it was you doing your own stunts?
Okay. Okay, fine. First of all, I loved that show so much. I loved shooting it. And part of the deal of me doing that was I wanted to do all my own fighting and all my own stunts. So I would say, honestly, 90% of it was me. And as a result of that, I now need to have my left knee replaced. But we worked out before we started filming, let's figure out a style of fighting that I can do that isn't unbelievable and there's not tons of wire work and it's more like something a big fat rugby man might do in a pub rather than, in a Hong Kong street brawl, you know what I mean? So I wanted to do a lot of it too, because there was a lot of, I want to say bravado, but there was a lot of like, if you got off set and you had like a massive bruise, there was like a bit of, you could show off slightly, But I loved it, I loved doing that show. Thank you.
Hello, Nick.
Hello.
I'm an aspiring animator.
Yes.
So one day I want to be able to tell stories through animated movies one day. So I would love to know, what's your favourite animated film?
Oh my God, my ADHD brain has now closed down for a moment while I'm buffering. I don't know, I mean, the first thing that came to mind was I remember watching the kind of, I'm not sure if it's animated. It was like, do you remember the first time they kind of did The Hobbit? Like it's a rotoscope version. I remember watching that as a kid and thinking, wow, that was amazing. But I mean, in terms of now kind of modern animation, I have 3 children, so I've probably watched in the last year WALL-E 50 times. And what's really weird is I don't just have it. So when he wants it, I have to rent it off of Prime every time, and I'm like, this is costing me hundreds of pounds a year. So, but I love WALL-E. I love the Invincible, not the Invincibles.
The Incredibles?
The Incredibles. I love that, and I also love Invincible as well, which is amazing. But when someone asks a question over here in a minute, I'll suddenly think of something else, and if I shout it at you, it's don't be afraid.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, you're here.
Hiya. So
Hello.
if a zombie apocalypse were to happen at this moment of time in this building, how would you act? Where would you go? Who would you save and why?
Oh, I'd save no one except myself. This door here is the door to the back where all the cars are. So I would be in a vehicle and I would just be off. I'd be driving down to London. I'd get my family. And then there's a place in Wales that I always knew that I'd go, which is remote enough that I could see them coming from a long way away. And then obviously from that point on, I'd begin perhaps a 10-year regime of defending the house, in terms of ditches and poles with spikes on, barbed wire, pits with fire, etc. And ammunition, I'd have to find a place where I can find enough ammunition. And although when it comes to zombies, I think, as we all know, ammunition runs out, sadly, and swords don't run out. So I'm always a sword fan with a zombie. It's almost as if I had an answer for that.
Hi Nick, lovely to meet you.
Hello.
Is there anyone that you'd love the opportunity to work with that you haven't already worked with?
God, yeah, I mean, millions of people, obviously. I mean, You know, I'm an. Oh, it's like me walking behind me. That was a weird meta moment. Yeah, look, I'm an actor, so I love amazing directors. So again, this is like the question about animation. There are literally a million amazing directors and actors that I'd be like, fuck, abso-fucking-lutely, I'll do anything on your film. You know, it's just, I'm a key. The thing about making films and liking films is that I get to sit and watch how other people make films. You know what I mean? I just did a film with a guy called Corin Hardy who directed The Nun. And again, you get, and also with Vince Vaughn, right? I know he's not potentially of our genre, but I did a film with him like 10 years ago, and I got a chance to sit and watch him act, and not just act on set, but act how he acted with a crew and with a camera team and with a production staff. And it's just like, he was just a gentleman and a professional and a great actor. And there's very few people fortunately, in my career, where I've looked at and I've thought, you're a horrible shit. You know what I mean? And I just think I've been really lucky that I get a chance to work with people who are passionate about what they do and are grateful about that too, you know. I think. Thanks.
Hi, Nick.
I've got to walk over this side.
Oh, sorry.
Walking. Yeah.
Hi.
Hello.
Me and my family are massive fans. One of our favourite movies is Shaun of the Dead.
Thank you.
I'm just wondering, could you do a favourite scene for the monkey?
No, I'm not going to do Clyde. I'm sorry. I'm not a performing monkey. Sorry.
Oh, gutted.
Do you want to know a story? A really sad story about Clyde?
Yeah.
Clyde, sadly, was beaten to death with a broom. That's a real fact. Next question.
Hey, Nick.
Hello.
You ever thought of going one-to-one with Simon and actually working on Star Wars?
No, I like watching it. Do you know what I mean? I'm a fan. It's like, if you ever get a chance to do something like... I was offered a part in the new ones, and it wasn't... I didn't want to do it in the end, because it's like... You become critical of watching yourself at that point, you know? Where in fact, I just sometimes want to sit and watch something and not think, oh, you were shit in that. You know what I mean? It's all right to not want to be in everything. Yeah, come on, let's go to the other side.
Hi Nick, I have a question for you.
Yes.
With you being such a sci-fi fan, what was it like working on the set of Doctor Who?
Oh, it was amazing. Peter, we had like an hour where just Peter Capaldi just showed me around the interior of the TARDIS for an hour. And he told me what every button did. And it was amazing. And I loved it. It was... Peter's really giggly. So it took us a lot, you know, he laughed a lot when we were acting together, which was quite nice. But it was just... You know, I'm 51 now, but I remember being like a 12-year-old boy laying on the floor looking up at Tom Baker lovingly, you know. So to be then in the TARDIS and Peter Capaldi saying, well, this does that, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing, you know. My story, I've got a story from Doctor Who, and that is the weird thing about Doctor Who is they make you pay for your own breakfast, which was like the weirdest thing I'd ever heard. But it's just like a thing that they do at BBC Wales where you have to pay for your own breakfast. I know that sounds like a weird first world issue, but as an actor, well, sometimes you get into work and they say, what do you want? And you say, oh, I'll have a bacon sandwich and a coffee. And then he knocks and he gives you it, and then he stands there saying, are you all right? He said, yes, £4.60. What? It's the biggest TV show in the world. Why am I having to pay for my own bacon sandwich? It's weird. But to answer your question, I loved it.
Nick?
Hello.
How are you?
I'm all right, thanks.
Good. Massive fan of Fighting with Family, one of my favourites. What would you say your best moment was in that film?
Okay, so it wasn't... all the wrestling, I loved all the wrestling. I'd wrestled... I was going to say semi-professionally, but when you just wrestle with mates at home and stuff, everyone went really quiet then. You've all wrestled at home with friends, right? But doing all the training for that was great, and again, a bit like this lady, when you came off set and you spent the day actually wrestling, and you just hurt, but the other wrestlers came and gave you a pat on the back, you were like, that was totally worth it, And the other thing was, when I didn't meet Ricky Knight at all until the premiere, and then he said to me after the premiere, he was disappointed because he wanted Ray Winston to be him. But once he'd seen the film, he was glad that I was Ricky and not Ray Winston. So that was kind of like my best moment. Okay, we got time for 50 more questions.
Hi, Nick.
Hello.
A lot of actors say that they love playing villains. Would you ever in the future consider playing a really sinister character? Because you're so wholesome. I couldn't imagine it.
But that's the actor in me. I'm not at all. Ask my wife, I'm a horrible bastard. I want to play anyone. I mean, every actor says, I'd love to play an evil. I get it. I mean, who doesn't want to pretend to be evil and horrible? But honestly, with three kids, I'd play anything. I got to put bread on the table. You know what I'm saying?
Hi.
Hello.
So recently, you and Simon had a little cameo in Scott Pilgrim Takes Off.
Yes.
I was watching that and I was thinking, if you had the chance to play anyone in the original movie, who would you want to play?
In Scott Pilgrim?
Yeah, in the original Scott Pilgrim film.
Scott Pilgrim? Yeah, I mean Scott Pilgrim, right?
Valid.
Who doesn't want to be Michael Cera? Does anyone want... Also, it's the only character I know from the film.
Hi. Oh, that's really loud.
God, that was really loud, really high, wasn't it? Actually, you've shattered my glasses.
This is a bit of a stupid question, but do you know you're part of the Cornetto trilogy? I was wondering if you had a favourite flavour of Cornetto.
Mint.
Valid. I like that.
Because it feels like I'm brushing my teeth at the same time.
Hi, Nick.
Hey.
Just it's a Doctor Who related question. Would you ever? Obviously, you played Father Christmas in that episode.
Yeah.
Would you ever play it again, or go in as maybe a companion, or just star in it again, or?
I always thought. I think we talked about the fact that potentially. Well, Father Christmas is a Time Lord. Essentially, that's how he can do it. And so, I'd definitely be in Doctor Who again. I mean, it's fantastic. What's not to do? I mean, does it start tonight, the new series? Yeah, I mean, so as soon as I'm done here, I'm off to watch that. So, yeah, I mean, I'd love to do it again. End of question. Answer ends here. Yes?
Good to see you again. Just because it's not had any mention and it needs all the love in the world it gets. Truth Seekers Season 2?
Fuck, no, sadly. I really wish. Well, there was a really nice arc for 3 seasons of it, and sadly, we'll never see it. I mean, I think we'll just have to enjoy one nice season, and that'll be that. I can't hear you. Shout, shout, shout. Come near and shout. I'm not what? Okay, he's asking, could I do it as a graphic novel? And I guess technically, yes, we could, but I'm not going to. Yes.
Hi, Nick.
Hello.
I just wanted to. I'm curious about this. When filming Paul, when you were playing alongside Paul, who were you acting with, or was that Seth Rogen in really heavy makeup?
It's a great answer. Great question. No. Obviously, back then, what was it, like 20, I don't know, like 15 years ago, every scene we did with a Paul, there were like 5 different things we had to do to build Paul up. So it was a stick with tennis balls on for eyes. It was nothing. It was a green screen with dots on. It was a man on his knees. And then sometimes it was a child. And so every single scene, we had to do that. And then also there was a man would step in with a giant silver ball on a stick. And he'd just stand like this, and we'd do the whole scene, and then we'd cut, and that would be that. And so, yeah, it was very difficult. I can see a Lilu Dallas behind you. Is that? Hey, hello. Big fan.
Hi, Nick.
Hello.
I noticed that across a lot of the movies there is a lot of snacking involved. What would you have picked as your punishment at the police station?
Maybe donuts. Sorry, I had to think about that. I had to eat about 9 cakes during that whole, because it took so long to shoot that whole process, that as an actor. So if you watch actors acting and they're eating food, they don't eat it, they kind of just pick about and they nibble a bit, because they know that they're going to have to do this 50 times. But Danny Butterman wasn't that man. He was going to eat cake. So then in the end, they had to walk behind me with a bucket, and I just had to I wasn't sick in it, but I just had to spit it out, because I got through about 6 whole cakes on day 1. And Edgar was like, we might be doing this a bit longer. You don't have to eat that whole thing every time. But I kind of went from really enjoying it to now kind of I can't look at a chocolate cake anymore.
Hi, Nick.
Hello.
Hi, my question is, in all the Cornetto trilogy, which fight scene was hardest to choreograph?
Well, I mean, all the ones in the World's End were really long. They were really long and hard. And the fight scene in the toilet, the bathroom at the beginning, that was like just 5 days on its own. And then the fight scene in the pub with all the blanks was that was 10 days. So it was just, they were all really, really long, complicated things to shoot. But the stunt teams were amazing. So it was there was the first time we did the kind of the fight in the pub. It's difficult hitting men when you've got big stools on your hands. It's because I'm quite big and I've done martial arts stuff, and it must really fucking hurt. And so after the first take, Edgar came and whispered in my ear, "You've really got to hit him a lot harder." And so then I had to kind of started hitting the stunt. But stuntmen, a lot of them have a weird sensibility where they're like, "Yeah, that was great. And their jaw is hanging off, and they kind of seem to like it. But just the physicality of having to hit people is quite difficult for someone who's fairly non-violent.
Hello, Nick.
Hello.
You mentioned you had an ADHD brain. How's that benefited you in your career?
How has my brain benefited my career?
Your ADHD.
Yes. I'm not sure it has. I don't know. It's just... I don't know. I mean, I think like a lot of people I meet at these things, you know, our brains are in a kind of constant state of anxious fight or flight, you know. So I guess there's something about my brain which has enabled me to learn lines pretty well, and also to hyper-fixate and hyper-focus on sitting at a desk for 4 hours just looking at the dialogue to learn my script, you know. But apart from that, you know, the rest of it is like, I want to be sick every moment I'm here on this stage looking at all of you people. It's a blessing, but it's also a curse, you know. I didn't mean because you were disgusting and ugly. I just meant because I'm frightened.
Probably got time for
Have we got
two
time?
more?
Yeah, yes,
two more,
yes,
yeah?
yes, two more. Two more, unless the last one's really shit, and then we'll do another one.
Pressure's on, guys.
Hello. Jesus Christ, Dad?
It's the Undertaker.
It's the Undertaker.
Oh, hello, Undertaker.
If given the opportunity to take part in Taskmaster, would you do it? And who would be your 4 competitors?
No, I'd never do it. Thank you.
I guess we've got 2 more questions then.
I'm a jobbing actor. There's Simon at the back. Let's get one from Sean.
Sean or Nicky Angel, who would you rather be friends with?
What?
Sean or Nicky Angel, who would you rather be friends with?
Sean, I didn't get the Sean or...
Nicky Angel from Hot Fuzz.
Oh, I see. Sean, obviously.
How nice.
How nice. Let's have one. That wasn't a shit question, but let's have one more.
Hi, Nick.
That was good, yep.
If you were to take on the Golden Mile, how far would you think you'd be able to get through?
The Golden Lion?
Golden Mile, like in the World's End.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I mean, I haven't had a drink for 5 years, so I doubt I'd get out the first pub. But, I mean, 6 years ago, I could have done it twice, back to back. So, yeah, you've caught me at a weak time in my life. But that was a good question. I think
that wraps up everything.
Yes.
Everyone give it up for Nick.
Thank you very much.
So much.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.